Today we will do the 6 qualities of the Dhamma, and then later we will do the qualities of the Sangha. After that, we will get more in detail and other topics, more general topics, beginner topics that every Buddhist should know, every Theravada Buddhist should know. So, why is it important to cover the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? We will talk about that. We will talk about each quality in detail. We will talk about an analogy of the moon and why it is important to know and see with your own wisdom the Dhamma and what it really means when we say the word, the Dhamma. We will go over the Pali and we'll go over the definitions. So I hope you can join us for this talk, which we'll start right now. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. So, the 24 qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha are some of the most widely chanted Pali verses by the Theravada monks. You will hear this chanted every day, nearly every day. If you live in a monastery that has chanting, most monasteries do have chanting, we always start with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. There are 24 qualities in all. So it's very important because that's why we chant it every day. We chant it every day because it's important. And you should know what the Dhamma is because you take refuge, tisarana, in the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha, and the Sangha, all three. At once you take this, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So, you should know what you're taking refuge in. This is not a cult where you only get the cover story, and then later we give you secret teachings or anything like that. Everything is open, and you should know more about your religion, the Buddhist religion, the Theravada religion, in which you are taking refuge in, which you are relying on for your protection. So it's very important. We'll cover the Pali word by word explanations. We will cover the Visuddhimagga explanations, which is what we could say the general commentary. Written or compiled is a better description, by Venerable Buddhaghosa. And you can also use this as a meditation. It's called Dhammanusati. So what is this well-chanted, frequently chanted verse? Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko 𝗷𝗶𝗍𝗀 opanahiko pachatam editambo vinyuiti. It's a very wonderful chant. It doesn't get old. That's why I just paused after I had chanted it. It means a lot. What does it mean? Let's chant it one more time. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanahiko Pachatam Veritambo Vinyuiti. So swakato, that's the first word. It means well proclaimed. It's good in the beginning, it's good in the middle, and it's good in the end. This is a very standard description of the Dhamma. Good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. Because it announces the life of purity that is utterly perfect and pure, with the meaning and also with the detail. It has an introduction, a body, and conclusion. When I first came across the Theravada teachings, I was just so impressed that when the Buddha, he gave a sutta, he had an introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. These are the four things, blah, blah, blah. Talks the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and then he concludes. These are the four things that I just spoke about. I was just telling someone just last night about giving Dhamma talks. Say what you say what you're going to say it, and say what you said. Again, say what you're going to say it, say what you said. This should be the structure of every lecture or presentation. And in this way, it's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. We can also break it up into sila, samadhi, insight, and nibbana. Samadhi and insight would be the middle. Sila would be the beginning part. Samadhi and insight is the middle. And the end is nibbana. There are different ways to break that up. But it's always best to have nibbana at the very end. This is the most appropriate. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanahiko Pachatam Veritambo Vinyuiti. Sanditiko. This is the next quality. It is seen by those who have attained the Dhamma. I don't remember if I told you this before. I think I did. But the Buddha is the one who discovers the teachings. The teachings are always present. He discovers them. He discovers what's already there. The teachings are the Dhamma. And those who attain the teachings are the Sangha, the Arya Sangha. Sanditiko can mean seen by those who attain the Dhamma. What do we mean by that? The ninefold Lokuttara Dhamma, that is 8 path and fruitions, together 8, with the 9th as Nibbana. When one has fully attained up to arhatship, he is no longer one who is a trainer. He knows he has completed what needs to be done. The Dhamma sanditiko, another way, it destroys wrong view and has right view with one who knows Nibbana. It is worthy of being seen. What does that mean? We could take the analogy of the moon. Now, I think in the early 70s, maybe 1972, that was the last time America has been to the moon. Some people are starting to speculate that we have never actually been to the moon. It's conspiracy theory. Sometimes I mention this to the teacher and he starts laughing because it's a conspiracy theory. It's difficult to prove either way. But there are some people who know for sure whether or not the moon has been walked on. These are the astronauts who have walked on the moon, or supposedly walked on the moon. They either walked on the moon, or they walked on a green screen, or they walked on a studio. These people, they know for sure. Let's just assume they walked on the moon. If they walked on the moon, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that you can tell them that the moon was never walked on, because they themselves have walked on the moon. It's irreversible. This view of whether the moon can be walked on or not walked on, if they themselves have walked on the moon, you could never, ever, ever tell them that the moon has never been walked on. They themselves know for sure. Irreversible. So I hope that you can also know directly Nibbana and destroy wrong view, have wrong view replaced by right view, which you yourself can know directly. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko 𝗷𝗶𝗍𝗀 𝗀𝗃𝗀 bachatam eritambo vinyuiti. Akaliko. Some people say that akaliko means timeless. They say it's like blue jeans. You know, blue jeans never go out of style. They're always in style. Something like that. A classic. Something that is always applicable. The Dhamma is, in some ways, we could say, something that is timeless in that sense. It is always applicable. Lobha, greed, hatred, dosa, and moha, ignorance. Greed, hatred, and delusion. No matter what year it is, we could always apply these dhammas. But that is not what it means, technically. The real meaning of akaliko is without delay. It means there's no delay from what? When the Magga Chitta arises, immediately without delay, the Bala Chitta arises. One after the other, immediately following the fruition consciousness. We could say the path consciousness, that's Magga, and fruition consciousness, Bala. That's P-H-A-L-A, Phala. So that's what it means, and you might hear some arguments that it does not mean that. And they might say to you, okay, the Buddha says that you can donate to, you can make a donation to one who has attained the path, and you can also donate to one who attains fruition. How does that happen? Especially in the time of the Buddha, the monks practicing continuously. And while the monks are even eating, they are practicing. They're practicing, they might be doing rupa kammatthana, and they might be doing full vipassana kammatthana. Contemplation of food, impermanence, suffering, and non-self while eating. Understanding past causes and present Dhammas while they're eating, and contemplating those as impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And while they're eating, this still happens today. The 𝗷𝗂𝗃s will come. The 𝗷𝗂𝗃s are the donors. The 𝗷𝗂𝗃s will come and they will offer more food while the monk is eating, while he has food in his mouth. And they can drop it in his bowl and accept it. And at that moment, it might be possible that while you're making the donation, if you're the donor, he can attain path and fruition. This is the standard explanation for being able to donate to one who has attained path, and also being able to donate to one who attains fruition. Because the mind is very quick. We could say it's timeless, because just a single mind moment is so quick. It's much, much faster than a blink of an eye. I've said this before, I'll say it again. That if we take the fastest computer today, or let's take a slow computer, a 1 gigahertz computer, that's a billion what do we say, processes per second, gigahertz. 1 million megahertz is a million, and gigahertz is a billion. The human mind is so much faster than that, more than 1 billion. And so in that way, we could say that it's timeless, because the fraction of that amount of time, it's consecutive and happens immediately after the path consciousness. Let's continue. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗃 panahiko pachatam veritabbo vinyuiti 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗃. inviting inspection. The commentary says, there is something that is actually there. If I were to say there is money in my empty fist, can I say, come and see? There's nothing in my hand. I make a fist. Can I say, come and see the money in my hand? No, I cannot, because there's nothing there. This is what the commentary says. But if there were something in my hand, could I say, well, I'm a monk, I wouldn't have money in my hand. But if I had, a piece of chocolate in my hand before 12, before the allowable time, and I said, come and see, and I had chocolate in my hand, I could do that. I could open up my hand, and you would see the chocolate. In the same way, the Dhamma is something that can be achieved. It is visible, and it is inviting inspection. Like the purity of the moon's disk in a cloudless sky. It is something that is very pure. It's not like dung and urine covered with grass. We don't say, hey, come and see. But when something is very pure and wonderful, it invites inspection. Come and see this. When it's something wonderful, when you discover something wonderful, it is something you want to share. And it's something that is real, that you discover, and that you will want to share once you attain it. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀 opanahiko pachatam veritambo vinyuiti. Opanahiko, leading onwards. We have discussed this before. Opanahiko is from the word upanaya. Sometimes when we strengthen the vowels, the U becomes an O. We learn this in our Pali class. But it comes from upanaya. And it means inducement. It leads, the four paths leads to fruition, the four fruitions. So it's leading onwards. That path leads immediately to fruition. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko 𝗷𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀𝗀 opanahiko pachatam veritambo vinyuiti. Pachatam veritambo vinyuiti. It is directly experienceable by the wise. It is experienced by those who have attained and by those who have done the footwork. And those who have attained are indeed, truly the wise. Pachatam veritambo vinyuiti. When one reaches path and fruition, they will say, the path has been developed, fruition has been attained, and cessation has been realized. The one who says it who says, by me the path has been developed, fruition has been attained, and cessation has been realized. So the way that you can look at the 6 qualities, well proclaimed. Now, in addition, this Dhamma is well proclaimed. Why? Because it is visible here and now. It is visible here and now because it is not delayed. It is not delayed because it invites inspection. And what invites inspection is onward leading. And if he practices, he can get the jhana factors in a single mind moment. Upacara samadhi, access concentration. Now, when this man is truly wise, his constant task will surely be this recollection of the Dhamma, blessed with such mighty potency. Dhammanusati is the meditation of the qualities of the Dhamma. It is actually good for Westerners because, I hate to say this, the Westerners are lacking the devotional faith that those, let's say in Sri Lanka, that those in the Theravada countries, Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand, and Laos. There are 5 countries. These countries have high faith. Sri Lanka has high faith. Oh, when I went to Cambodia, I discovered how faithful they are. Did you know that Cambodia has the highest per capita Theravada Buddhist of any other country, more than Sri Lanka? I think it's like, I can't remember exactly, I think it's like 96% or something. It's extraordinarily high. And when I went there with a group of people, and we delivered some relics of the Buddha, the faith was just so incredible. It's just a memory for a lifetime. That display of faith and devotion that we were a part of was a memory for a lifetime, because it was just so powerful how much they respected the relics that we brought. But the Westerners, they naturally, it's rare for them to have this type of faith. But the Dhamma is real. Like I said, it's something that one can contemplate, and they can see it for themselves. And so it can be good as a meditation to focus on the Dhammanusati. It can suppress the hindrances, and one can develop upacara samadhi. And this concludes the talk. We'll review a little bit. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. Sanditiko. It is visible here and now. Akaliko, not delayed. 𝗹𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀, inviting inspection. Opanayiko, onward leading. Pachatam veritabmo vinyuiti, it is directly experienceable by the wise. So now you know the qualities of the Dhamma. We have covered the verse many times. We have covered the meaning many times. We have covered the commentary explanations coming from the Visuddhimagga. You can read this. It's available for free online, called The Path of Purification. By Venerable Bhikkhu Gnāṇamoli. It's a very big book. I hope you can read it. This is what we call the general or common commentary as it relates to the practice and attainment of liberation. We have many suttas, in one form or another, hopefully. The suttas, or a majority of them, will talk about meditation and practice. And that practice that leads to nibbana. As we said, good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. And there are so many duplicate suttas, or they talk about this, they talk about that. So several places you'll find the mention of jhana, samadhi, meditation, concentration. So instead of explaining the intricate details of the attainment of jhana, instead of explaining in each place as a commentary to each sutta, it is explained in a single place called the Visuddhimagga. So much of the information that I am giving you today comes from the Visuddhimagga. And you can also use this as a Dhammanusati, the recollection of the Dhamma, as a practice, as a samatha practice to calm down the mind. And with this calm, reflective mind, bright mind, you can move onwards to see mind and matter and the causes of mind and matter, and contemplate those dhammas as anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And so that you can reach nibbana safely and quickly. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.